Shall we begin?
Let's begin now.
Hi everybody, it's Doreen, and I'm back today with a get well card that I've made. And today's cartridges that we will be using is the George and Basic Shape cartridge, the Beyond Birthdays cartridge, and the Everyday Pop-Up Cards cartridge. So what does our card look like today? Well, I can give you a little hint with the Everyday Pop-Up cards. This is our card that we will be making today, along with our envelope. So on the outside of the card, it says, wishing you comfort, and there's a little secret message that pops up inside, and it says, speedy recovery. So come on and join me, and I'm going to show you how I made this card. Okay, everybody, so we are going to bring up our supplies so we can get started making the card. So now, I've gone ahead and cut out the card feature using the Everyday Pop-Up cards, and this card feature is on page 31, and it is this one right here. So I've cut that out at 5.5 inches. Let me make sure that's the right one because I did use several different things. I'm sorry, that is the wrong one. So let's do that again. I cut out the card feature that is on page 36, and I did cut it out at 5.5 inches. So now on your gypsy, that is going to be key number 16. So what you'll do is you'll hit your card feature. So let me go to that cartridge. You're going to hit the card feature, and then you'll hit key number 16. So let's see. And that's this one right here. So it'll look like this. So then, once I've done that, I have gone ahead and inked my edges. And I inked my edges using the Gathered Twigs Tim Holtz Distress ink. And this cardstock is some cardstock that I've had, so I don't know what brand name it is. So now what I want to do is, I do have a top layer that I want to add on top of this. And this paper is from this paper stack that is by Recollections. It's some cardstock. It's called the Animal Kingdom Pad. And these pieces are 6 by 6. And I'm sorry for that glare, but they look like that. So I've cut this down to 3 3/4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. I had to check the back for my measurements. So that's going to lay right there. But before I lay that down, I am going to add some ribbon on this card, even though this is going to be for a male. But it's kind of a masculine color, so I think I can get away with it since I can't add my bling. So what I want to do is I want to make sure I get my ribbon down first. And I'm going to use the cheater method. So I'm just going to take my tape, and I've marked lightly with the pencil where I want the ribbon to line up. So I'm going to take my first side down first. So I'm going to line that up with my pencil mark. And I'm just going to fold this over and just go ahead and tape this down. And then I'm going to flip it back over and line it up so it's even with my other side. And then I'm going to take my tape once again and tape it down. I'm going to try to get this flat. So I'm going to flip it over and fold it down like so. And I want to make sure I got this even, because you know how I hate measuring. And then I'm just going to tape it down. So now we may have to take the glue gun and just put a spot of glue right there just to hold it down all the way. But we'll see. So now what we can do is we can line up. I'm going to need to snip some of that tape off of there. Just get this off real quick. Like so. Okay. So now what I want to do is we're going to add it to the top of the card. And line it up like so. So let's get some tape on the back of here using our ATG gun. And I'm going to get my tape all the way around my edges. And then I just go across to form my X. So I'm going to open up my card. And I'm going to line this up. Now I do want my little scallops on the edge there to show just a little bit. So, okay. So then I just press down. So now we've got our top layer and our ribbon down. And it looks like I am going to have to add some glue, but I need to let my glue gun heat up. So we're going to move on and finish adding the rest of our embellishments. So now, for the front of the card, I've gone ahead and cut out this Wishing You Comfort. And this is also from the Everyday Pop-Up Cartridge. And let's see, it is on page 31. So what I've cut out is the phrase, and then I've cut out the phrase layer. So on your gypsy, let's go to that. That is, you're going to hit your phrase button, and then you're going to hit key number 11, and you get the Wishing You Comfort. Now what I did was, I didn't want all the little flowers that they have up at the top here like they do in the circle. So I used my hide feature, which is under your advanced tab, and you hit the hide, and I just hid those things. I tried to also hide these flowers, but you couldn't hide those, so I guess I could have cut them off. But what I decided to do was to take my Peachy Keen stamp and stamp the face in the flower. And the Peachy Keen stamps is the Fun Shine Face Assortment Pack. That's PK 540. So I just took the 3/8 inch size for the little small flower, and I took the 1/2 inch face for the bigger flower. So what I want to do is I want to place that right there. So now, as far as what size I cut this was cut at 2 inches. And I also cut the shadow or the phrase layer, which is this layer right here. That was also cut at 2 inches. So what you'll do for your gypsy on that is you're going to hit the phrase layer and let's see, your shift lock, and you'll hit key number 11, and it looks like this. And you'll notice that that doesn't have the little flowers up there at the top in the circles. So that is also cut at 2 inches. So what we want to do is we want to put that, and we're going to line it up about right there. And then the other thing that I decided to cut out, and you'll see in a moment, I wanted to say Wishing You Comfort, and I've put the and sign, and I'm going to put that right there. Now this is from the George and Basic Shape cartridge. And it is on page 88. And it looks like this. So what I've cut out is this one. And then I cut out the, I believe, the shadow. And we'll check on the gypsy. So now if you don't have the Georgian Basic cartridge, I'm not sure what other cartridge has this, and the way I found it was I remembered that the Georgian Basic had numbers and different shapes, so I just kept searching till I found it. I tried putting it in on the search button on the Gypsy, and it didn't come up with what I was looking for. So let's go to that one, and I can tell you what I cut that at. So with this one, I did have to take off my, I'm sorry, no I didn't. I didn't take the aspect ratio off. So it is key number 7. So what you'll do is hit the shift lock key and then key 7, and you'll get your layer. So now what I did to make sure it fit correctly on the card, I just took the symbol and put it on the front of the card, which I'm going to go to right here, and I just kept downsizing it till I got it the size I wanted. So the actual size is, the width is 1.5 and the height is 1.69. You're probably not going to be able to see that. There we go. And then to cut the shadow, you're going to hit the shadow button, the shift lock button, and key number 7. And that is also cut at, the height is 1.69, and then with this one the width ended up being 1.66, and I got that by just putting the other top layer on top until I got it to look the way I want it. So this one you're going to have to do a little adjusting to get it like this. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and tape this down. Now I am going to pop up everything. So let me get my foam tape on here and pop it up, and then I'll be back so we can work on the inside of the card, because that's where we get the pop-up portion of the card. Okay everybody, so I've got my greeting on the front, and I've gone ahead and popped everything up. So now let's work on the pop-up portion of the card. So now what I did find using this cartridge is there is no actual instructions on how to pop everything up. So I had to do a lot of guessing to figure it out, but actually it's not that hard. You just have to sit down and look at it and think about it. So the pop-up portion that I am using is on page 36, and it is the Speedy Recovery, and it says pop-up right here. So I've kind of already put it together and did my piece to pop up. So let's talk about where you'll find this on the Gypsy and on your overlay. So we're going to go to the pop-up piece, and I've cut that out at 5.5 inches, and what I've done is I've taken and put on my real dial size and cut that at 5.5, and it is key number 16. So what you'll do is you're going to hit your pop-up button, your shift lock button, and key number 16, and you'll get this, which is Speedy Recovery. And then, because I did want to have some of my letters be a different color, and if I didn't say earlier, the cardstock that I'm using, the cardstock that I'm using right here is just some of the Joann fabric texture cardstock, and the actual cream color cardstock is actually a manila folder that I had. I just cut that up and used that. So because I wanted my letters to be different colors in different areas, there is a phrase feature here that you can cut out the letters and make them a different color. So for that, you're going to, once again, I've taken it basically and matched it up with the other Speedy Recovery just so I could make sure I could get the letters the same size. And so that ended up being, with my real dial size on, it was, the width was 5.51 and the height was 1.52. So you'll just have to use your button right here to do some squeezing in and let it match up with the Speedy Recovery that's on the pop-up portion. So let me go to that key so you can see what it looks like. So you're going to hit your shift lock, your phrase, and then key 16, and you'll get this. So once I had all of that cut out, I then started to put it together. And as I said, there is no score marks or anything on here, so I kind of had to do a lot of guessing. So when it cuts out, it's going to cut out lane like so. It'll be like this. And what I've done is I've taken it and scored it on the end here. And I didn't measure this. I just scored it till I thought it looked okay. So I would say that's maybe about 1/4 of an inch. And I'm using score tape because you really want this to stick down, and I didn't think using the ATG gun that it would stay. So I've taken some strips of score tape and put them one on right where the score mark is, then one right here, and then I once again scored it right below the letters. I would say maybe 1/4 of an inch, and folded that back like so. And then I've taken these strips right here and I've just folded those in half, and then I've also scored them and folded them right above the letters. I'm sorry if I wasn't in the frame. So I've scored here right up under the letters about 1/4 of an inch. Then I've scored or just folded them down right above the letters like so, and then down here, and then I've scored them in half at the strips right here and right here. So now what we want to do is we want to put this together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my score piece at the fold from the bottom. And what you want to do, and I'm not saying this is the right way to put this together, this is just what I came up with. I'm going to match up my scored piece with the fold of my card. And I'm going to try to line this up so that it's centered. And because I don't like to measure, this is going to be a guess. I think I need to come over just a little bit here. And line that up right on the score mark, and then I'm just going to press that down. So that's on my score mark. So now the other thing, now what I want to do is I want to remove my score tape from the bottom piece here, because we want to next line those up. And that I'm just going to press down like so. And then the next thing, or the last thing you're going to do is you're going to just take and match these up. And I kind of match them up where they meet my back piece that is back here. So I'm just going to take those and line them up. Because what you eventually want this to do is you want this to fold down like so. And then when they open it, it pops up. So let me do that, and then I'll come back with the finished piece for the inside of our pop-up card. Okay, everybody, so I am back, and what I ended up doing is, and as I said before, I don't know if this is the right way to put this together or not, because there are no instructions on how to do the pop-up card. So I basically, as I said before, I took the strips and I scored just above the letters. I'll bring it up so you can see it. And then I scored each one of the strips in half. And then I put my score tape on the back piece, which is this piece right here. And then once I had it on there, I took and folded them in half, the strips, and just folded my card down like this, like so, and pressed it in on the back, and then they stuck together, and it ended up being my pop-up. So now whether that's the right way, I don't know, but it's working for me, for my purposes. So the last thing that I want to do is, I do have this piece of scrap that I had left over from the front of the card. So I took and put a sentiment in the center using my, I believe this is the reverse wonky Spellbinders die. And I took one of my Memory Keeper corner rounders. I used the angle cut and cut my strip along here. And this was just a piece of the strip that was left over from the 6x6 square. So I didn't measure, I just cut it till it fit. And I'm going to put that right in the inside here. So let me go ahead and get some tape on here, and we'll add this piece to the card, and then we will have the finished card. So I'm just going to line this up right here. And I don't have this popped up or anything because I want it to lay flat. And I'm just going to add that to my inside of my card. So this is what my card says. So basically it says, wishing you comfort and when they open, or when he opens, speedy recovery. And then my little sentiment. For now, my envelope, what I've done is I've just gone ahead and taken just an everyday envelope that I've purchased, and I've cut out the Get Well Soon. And the Get Well Soon is from the Beyond Birthdays cartridge, and it is on page 116. And I've cut out the Get Well, and I've cut out the shadow. So on your gypsy, that is going to, I've cut it out at 2 1/4 inches. So let's go to that cartridge. And it is key number 27. So let's see. And it looks like this. So you'll cut that one out, and then you're going to hit your shadow key and hit key 27 again, and you'll cut that one. And as I said before, that was cut at 2 1/4 inches. So I just went ahead and put those two together and glued that on the envelope like so. So that's it, everybody. This is my Get Well card for my brother-in-law. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.